Navigating parental leave as a senior leader. Hi, everyone. I am Iccha Sethi, a director of engineering at GitHub, and a mom of a highly energetic 3.5-year-old and a headstrong 9-month-old. And yes, my 3-year-old picked this outfit. He loves dinosaurs. And I've taken parental leave twice, once for a period of 3 months as a principal engineer, and once for a period of 5.5 to 6 months as a director of engineering. So though this talk is geared and based on my experience with taking parental leave, a lot of this can be applied to any type of extended leave. And managers and peers of the person taking this leave, if you're sitting in this audience, I'm going to have tips for you as well. There are going to be dedicated columns in my slides with takeaways for you, so be on a lookout. Okay, when I figured out about this new addition, there was joy, lots of mixed emotions on the personal side, putting that aside. On the professional front, I had a lot of anxiety. All my adult life, I had been so focused on my career and growing it. And now, my life was going to change. I was going to take an extended period of time off, and coming back, I knew things were not going to be the same. I was working on this big product launch for GitHub Actions, which was going to GA during my parental leave. Great. I had been working on the culture of my org for the past few months. What was going to happen when I stepped out? And personally, what about all the career opportunities I was going to miss out during that period of time? I didn't have very many role models in senior leadership as well who had taken extended time off. A lot of my male colleagues, irrespective of where I worked, tended to chunk up their leaves, take it a little bit at a time. But I didn't have that option. I needed longer time to physically heal, and then to bond with my baby. And second time around, I knew that I wanted to take that whole period of time that my company was offering me. And also, I wanted to set the precedent that it's okay to take time for your personal life and yet set your business up for success. So the first thing for me to do was to get in the right mental mindset. Things were going to happen when I was away. Product launches, people were going to get hired, people were going to leave the company, throw in a couple of reorgs, tech humor, I'm going to have a new manager when I come back. And that was okay. I was going to come back to a slightly different company. Once I had that mental mindset, it was about making a plan. So for the rest of this presentation, I will talk to you about things I did before my leave, during my leave, and after my leave, and also with tips for managers and peers. The first thing for me to figure out was who was going to be this interim director while I was out on my parental leave. We spoke about the whole stretch zone in one of the previous talks. So there was someone in my org who was kind of ready for this next step but needed some coaching. I had a couple of months, heads up to work on this with them. But say if you didn't have that one person in your org, something you could do is split your areas of responsibilities. So this interim person I had been working with on coaching, they took over most of the charter, but I had one complex area which my manager actually became the interim lead for. And apart from this area, there were other programs I was running in my org. Make sure that you hand them off as well, like an onboarding program or a hiring program. And don't forget about all those mentorship and sponsorship opportunities that you have been managing. And managers, be actively involved in making this delegation checklist because you have a wider purview of your organization. You might know who this might be a great career opportunity for to step in while your report went on parental leave. And peers, volunteer. This is a great opportunity for you as well. Performance reviews. So I actually wrote my own self-review before I went on parental leave. It wasn't review period. I did this because I knew I was going to forget all the amazing things I had done and the positive impact I'd had in my org after months of diaper changing. And if I had forgotten about this, my peers are most likely not going to remember either. So I made sure I seeked out peer feedback before I went on my leave. And peers, make time to give this feedback, even if it is an official review cycle time. All this information was super helpful to my manager because review cycle was actually when I was out on my leave, and they had all that information available to them. I did the same thing for my directs. In a Google Doc, I wrote up each of the reviews before I had to step out. Because look at this from their perspective. They were going to have an interim manager. What about their career progression? I wanted to make sure they were set up for success as well. So I set their goals and things they could work on for the next couple of months while I was out. As a principal engineer, it was much easier for me when I took parental leave to completely cut off. It was kind of hard to do that as a director of engineering. So I set communication preferences with my manager. And again, I'm going to caveat this with this is something that I did, and you don't have to do this. So I let them know that, hey, if, a report of mine is going to leave this company or certain benefits are changing, you can contact me on my personal email. Don't expect a response back immediately, but I would appreciate it if you'd let me know. Starting the transition plan early, with my first kid, 36 weeks pregnant, going in for my ultrasound appointment. I had all these meetings set up in the afternoon, and the doctor's like, you're having your baby today. And I'm like, I'm not ready for this. So start your transition plan early and work out the kinks. I told you about all that anxiety leaving the work. So managers and peers, you have a really important role to play here. Let this person know that you will be thinking of them and they will be missed. And I will harp on this theme again in a later slide. This is very important. During the leave, guess what I did? I had enough on my hands. So focus on your baby, your life. But then recently, I had a report of mine, a manager, go on parental leave. And I tried this thing where I basically kept our 101 slot. And during that time, I would go to our 101 doc, put the date, and think about what is something which happened this week that will be helpful for this person to know once they come back from their leave. And voila, they were back, and I had this amazing chronological doc left of things which have happened of note and made it super easy to round them back on. After the leave. Pace yourself, depending on how long you've taken. It's going to be this mad rush of balancing parenthood, figuring out work, sleepless nights. 9 months in, I still have sleepless nights. So one thing I did before my leave, which was super helpful, was I completely cleared my calendar. I deleted all recurring meetings. So I was coming back to a clean slate, which was awesome. So I set clear expectations with people around me. Hey, first couple of weeks, I'm not going to jump back into recurring 101s or meetings. I'm going to have a couple of ad hoc catch-up meetings, but give me some time. And then on my calendar, I explicitly let know what time I need personally for my needs. For example, I had pumping slots, do not book over. I've seen colleagues do daycare pickup schedule. Ask before you schedule over this slot. And consider making this public, because people are less likely to book over this time once they know what you're making this for. When I came back from leave, I was like, oh, all my delegation checklist, remember? Somebody is doing some part of my job. What am I coming back to? And my manager, the first thing he said to me was oh my God, Iccha, we missed you so much. We're so excited to have you back. And that filled me with the sense of confidence that, oh yes, they want me back here. I add value to my job. And if your director has been gone for a longer period of time, consider having a re-onboarding buddy. Remember, they might be coming to a slightly different company. The one last tip I'll leave you with is don't be in a rush to claim back your Legos. Again, going back to that delegation checklist, I was running these architecture design review meetings before my parental leave. And, one of my colleagues had taken them over. I came back. He was doing a great job at running this meeting. There was no need for me to go and claim that same meeting back again to go run. Instead, reassess your priorities. Where can you make an impact in your organization right now, and talk through that with your manager. You're like, these are all great tips. I wish there was a checklist. There is one with a lot more details. I'll be tweeting this link out after the talk. Thank you, everybody.